The deadly happened this morning right here along Romeca near State after loved ones of the victim say she had just dropped her son at school.
The tragic story of Romeca Meek. Love, jealousy, and a shocking death. If there's one story that feels like it's been twisted in every possible direction, it's the heartbreaking case of Romeca Meek, her child's father Carlos Los, and his girlfriend Cordia Holly Johnson. Picture this. You drop your child off at school like any other morning. You're just a mother trying to handle your day, maybe thinking about work, maybe planning dinner, maybe even feeling relieved that you got through the morning rush. Then, out of nowhere, you run into your baby daddy and his new partner. Tensions flare, words fly, and in the blink of an eye, your entire world is ripped away. That's exactly what happened to Romeca, a young mom from Chicago's South Loop, whose life ended violently after a confrontation that has left her community in shock and her family crying out for justice. What happened that morning? The deadly incident unfolded right outside her son's school. Witnesses say Romeca had just dropped off her boy when she crossed paths with Holly, who is the mother of Carlos's other child. What started as a heated argument escalated quickly. The fight turned physical. According to several witnesses, Carlos, Romeca's ex and father of her child, was right there, and instead of diffusing the situation, he allegedly made things worse. In the middle of the struggle, Holly pulled out a gun and fired at close range. Romeca was hit in the face in broad daylight, while other parents and children were nearby. Emergency crews rushed her to Stroger Hospital, but it was too late. Romeca was pronounced dead, leaving her son without his mother and her family with a hole that can never be filled. The first wave of reports. When news first broke, the story spread like wildfire. Initial reports suggested that Carlos may have played a bigger role, that he ordered the hit, that he had been violent toward Romeca before, and that she even had a restraining order against him. Neighbors whispered about past fights, messy arguments, and drama that had never truly gone away. But just as the public started to believe one version of the story, things shifted. Suddenly, new reports claimed that Romeca was the one who showed up aggressively. According to this version, Carlos and Holly had dropped the child off together, and when Romeca arrived to bring her son lunch, she allegedly started the confrontation. Holly's team argued it was self-defense, and before anyone could process it, Holly was released from custody. Yes, released. And that's when outrage exploded. Conflicting stories and rumors. The streets started buzzing. People were furious that Holly walked free so quickly. Some swore there was more to the story than what police were letting on. Others pointed to court records, claiming Holly had a protection order against Romeca, and even videos of Romeca threatening her. Supporters of Holly argued that authorities wouldn't have let her go if she was guilty. On the flip side, Romeca's loved ones and many in the community said they saw videos of Holly being the aggressor, with Carlos right there fueling the fire. Witnesses added another layer. Some claimed that Carlos and Holly didn't even arrive together. They came in separate cars. And that detail raised eyebrows. Why would a couple heading to the same school need two vehicles? Was it coincidence? Or was something being staged? That simple detail planted the theory that the whole thing might have been orchestrated to look like self-defense. A mother's love. One of the most gut-wrenching parts of this tragedy came from something so small, yet so powerful, a note. On the very morning she was killed, Romeca tucked a handwritten letter into her son's lunchbox. The note read like a pep talk only a loving mom could give. She told him it was a fresh start, that he was the smartest and funniest kid she knew, and that she loved him more than anything. Hours later, she was gone. That note went viral after the tragedy, breaking hearts across the internet. To many, it symbolized exactly who she was. A devoted mother, a student working hard to become a nurse, and a woman determined to give her son a better life. Jealousy, obsession, and old wounds. Rumors kept swirling. Some said Holly's jealousy played a major role, that she believed Carlos was still hung up on his ex. People who knew the situation described Romeca as beautiful, well-dressed, focused on her education, and determined to move forward from Carlos's controlling behavior. To them, Holly saw her as a threat and couldn't stand being compared. Others said Carlos himself was the common denominator, fueling drama between both women and keeping tension alive. Reports described him as manipulative, narcissistic, and still trying to control Romeca even after she left him. Was this a love triangle that spiraled into violence? Or something more calculated? the order of protection. Adding to the confusion, records surfaced showing that Holly had an order of protection against Romeca at the time of the shooting. Some insiders claimed Romeca had been harassing her, showing up uninvited and making threats. But Romeca's supporters push back hard on that narrative. They say the order was just a legal tactic, flipped to make Holly look like the victim when in reality, Romeca was the one being harassed. The truth? Hard to pin down. Each side paints the other as the aggressor. Community demands justice. After Romeca's death, her family, friends, and neighbors gathered for vigils. They remembered her as a devoted mother and demanded answers. A petition started circulating online, calling for justice not just for Romeca but for victims of domestic violence everywhere. The petition argued that Romeca's death highlighted how often women remain unprotected, even when red flags are everywhere. It called for stronger domestic violence awareness programs, more funding for shelters, and tougher accountability for abusers. No child should lose their mother this way, it read. Witness confusion. One of the most frustrating parts of this case is the conflicting witness statements. Some people say Holly openly declared she had a license to carry before pulling the trigger. Others insist Carlos had Romeca in a headlock during the fight, making it impossible to call it self-defense. Another woman at the scene claimed she saw Holly put the gun back in her car after shooting. Every statement seems to clash with another, creating a puzzle that still doesn't fit together. Was it self-defense or a setup? This is where the theories get darker. If Carlos and Holly came in separate cars, some speculate it could have been part of a plan. Show up separately, make it look like chance, push Romeca into a confrontation, then use the self-defense claim to cover it up. Was Holly protecting herself, or was she protecting her relationship with Carlos at any cost? The family speaks. Romeca's family isn't buying the self-defense story. Her mother gave an emotional statement during the memorial, saying the son is devastated and barely speaking to anyone. To them, nothing excuses what happened. Their daughter was taken too soon, and justice hasn't been served. The bigger picture. This story isn't just about one tragedy. It's about larger issues too. It highlights the cycles of toxic relationships, the dangers of jealousy, and how quickly domestic disputes can escalate into deadly violence. It also shows how confusing the justice system can be when protection orders, self-defense claims, and conflicting witness reports collide. The community is left wondering, was Romeca truly the aggressor that morning? Or was she cornered into a fight she couldn't escape? Was Holly a scared woman defending herself, or a jealous partner carrying out a plan? And what role did Carlos really play? Where things stand, right now the case seems stuck in limbo. Officially, Holly was released without charges, but public opinion is far from settled. The internet is filled with debates, petitions, and theories. Some people feel Romeca's death is being brushed under the rug. Others think the authorities saw evidence the public hasn't, which justified releasing Holly. What's undeniable is this. A young boy lost his mother in the most traumatic way possible. No matter what side of the story you believe, that child's life will never be the same. Closing thoughts. The tragic,